The year is 1901. You are 180 feet beneath the surface of the Aegean Sea, off the coast of the Greek island of Antikythera. You are not a scientist. You are Elias Stadiatis, a sponge diver. Your job is to rip sponges from the seabed, a dangerous, back-breaking job in a clumsy canvas suit and a heavy brass helmet, fed air by a rattling pump on the boat far above. You move through the murky twilight, scraping the rocks. And then you see them. A nightmare. A heap of rotting corpses, as he would later describe it. Panicked, he signals to be pulled to the surface, his mind shattered by what he believes are the drowned ghosts of men and horses. His captain, Dimitrios Kontos, doesn't believe him. He descends himself to verify the report. When he surfaces, he has a bronze arm. They had stumbled upon the single greatest treasure trove ever recovered from the ancient world. A Roman cargo ship sunk in the 1st century BC, filled with priceless bronze and marble statues, jewelry, and pottery, likely being shipped to Rome as plunder. It was the birth of underwater archaeology. But in their haste to recover the magnificent statues, the art, they almost missed the single most important object ever found from antiquity. They didn't even see it. It was just a corroded green lump of bronze, the size of a shoebox, fused together after 2,000 years in the salt. It was mistaken for a rock, a piece of the ship, nothing. It would sit, ignored and forgotten, in a box at the National Archaeological Museum in Athens for 2 years. This rock was about to rewrite the history of technology. It was about to prove that our entire understanding of the ancient world was wrong. This is the story of the Antikythera Mechanism, the 2,000-year-old computer that should not exist.
The 1901 recovery was chaotic. The divers, battling nitrogen narcosis and the bends, worked at the very limit of human endurance. One diver would die, 2 would be paralyzed for life. They were hauling up treasures, but the real treasure looked like trash. The green, calcified lump of bronze was brought up and simply stored. Then, on May 17, 1902, archaeologist Valerios Stais was sifting through the finds. He picked up the lump. He looked closer. He saw something impossible. Embedded in the rock was a gear wheel, perfectly formed. He published a paper. He claimed this object was some kind of ancient astronomical clock. The scientific community laughed at him. They ridiculed him. Their reasoning? Ancient people didn't make gears, not like this. To the experts of the 20th century, the ancient Greeks were brilliant philosophers, poets, and sculptors. They were not engineers. They were primitive. This level of intricate precision gearing, a clockwork mechanism, was impossible. It must be a mistake. According to history, the first complex geared devices, the astronomical clocks in European cathedrals, didn't appear for another 1,300 years. To believe this object was ancient was to accept a 1,300-year gap in the story of human innovation. Valerios Stais, facing academic ruin, quietly retracted his theory. The mechanism, now broken into 82 fragments, went back into its box. The mystery was too dangerous to solve.
It lay in obscurity for 70 years. Until this man, Derek de Solla Price, a British physicist and historian of science at Yale. In the 1950s, Price became obsessed with the thing in the Athens Museum. He too saw the gears. He too refused to believe the consensus. He spent 20 years with calipers, X-rays, and a consuming passion trying to figure it out. He found gears, not one, but 30. His early X-rays were crude, like looking through a fog, but he could see it, a symphony of interconnected wheels. In 1974, Price published his findings. He proved conclusively that the device was ancient. He called it a device of undreamed-of sophistication. But even Price couldn't fully understand it. The X-rays were too blurry, the gears were layered too densely. He could see that it worked, but not fully how it worked. He died in 1983, having proven the device was real, but without ever fully unlocking its secrets. The mechanism was still holding on to its mystery. To solve a 2,000-year-old puzzle, science needed 21st century technology.
To hive an international team, the Antikythera Mechanism research project was formed. They brought in the heavy artillery. First, a custom-built 8-ton X-ray computed tomography scanner, the same technology doctors use to see inside your brain, but 1,000 times more powerful. For the first time, they could see through the corrosion. They could digitally disassemble the device. They counted every tooth, measured every wheel. Then they used a technology called PTM, or reflectance transformation imaging. This system places the object under a dome of 50 high-powered lights, taking a photo with each flash. It creates a digital landscape of the surface, allowing researchers to move a virtual light source around. And in the faint scratches, invisible to the human eye, they found the user manual. Thousands of tiny Greek letters, less than a millimeter high, were inscribed on the device's faces. They were instructions, labels. And as they translated the text, the true purpose of the device exploded into view. It was a mechanical cosmos. The scientists were stunned. Inside this tiny box, they found a piece of technology so advanced it broke all the rules. They found a differential gear. If you drive a car, you use a differential. It allows your outer wheel to spin faster than your inner wheel when you take a turn. It's a complex piece of engineering. We thought it was invented by a German watchmaker in the 16th century. We were wrong. The Greeks had it in 100 BC. They were using it to calculate the difference between the sun's movement and the moon's movement. This discovery was so shocking, so profound, it changed everything. A differential gear, 1400 years before its invention. This is the moment we realize that history is not a straight line. The story we have been told is wrong. We are here to dig for the real story, the complex, forgotten, and often unbelievable truths hidden in our past. If you believe in digging deeper, in questioning the official story, then please subscribe to this channel. Join us on the hunt for lost knowledge. Now, back to the machine, because what it did is even more brilliant.
This wasn't a computer that could be programmed. It was a calculator, an analog computer that when you turned a single hand crank, it simulated the entire universe as the Greeks understood it. The front face was the public display. It had a dial showing the 365-day Egyptian Greek calendar. It had a second dial showing the 12 signs of the Greek zodiac. A pointer for the sun showed its exact position in the sky. A pointer for the moon showed its position, and incredibly, it even showed the moon's phase. But the real genius was hidden on the back.
The back dials were for the hardcore astronomer. First, a 223-month spiral dial. This is the Saros cycle. The Greeks knew that eclipses, both solar and lunar, repeat every 223 months. This dial wasn't just a calendar, it was an eclipse predictor. It told you the exact day and even the hour an eclipse would occur. But the moon's orbit isn't a perfect circle, it's an ellipse. It speeds up as it gets closer to the Earth and slows down as it gets farther away. The Greeks knew this, and the maker of this device solved it. He couldn't make an elliptical gear, so he invented something even smarter: a pen and slot mechanism. It's a variable speed gear system that perfectly models the moon's complex orbit, as described by the astronomer Hipparchus. It is, frankly, genius. And finally, one last detail, a touch of human culture. On a smaller dial, they found a calendar for the Olympic Games. A 4-year dial showing which year the Olympic Games in one city and the Isthmian, Pythian, and Nemean Games in others were to be held. This wasn't just a scientific tool. It was a social device, a day planner for the ancient world's most important events. It was a philosophical machine, a mechanical textbook that declared the universe is not random. It is not the whims of the gods. It is a system of rules, gears, and cycles. It is understandable.
We know what it is. We know how it works. But the greatest mysteries remain. First, who made it? There is no made-in stamp, no signature. The inscriptions mention Rhodes. The astronomy is based on Hipparchus, who worked in Rhodes. The great philosopher Posidonius was in Rhodes at this time and was described by Cicero as having made a sphere that showed the motions of the heavens. Was this it? Or was it Archimedes? The legendary genius was killed 70 years before this ship sank. But Cicero also wrote that a Roman general looted a similar bronze device from Archimedes' workshop in Syracuse. Was this that device? Or a copy? Or a later model? We will never know. The second question is even more terrifying. Why is there only one? Was this a unique masterpiece? Or was it a common off-the-shelf device for rich astronomers? Were there thousands of these? We know the Romans were brilliant engineers, but they were also pragmatists. They valued bronze for swords, for armor, for statues of their emperors. It's almost certain that as these complex, delicate toys broke, they were simply melted down. We didn't just find a needle in a haystack. We may have found the only needle that survived a fire that burned the entire haystack. And that leads to the final, most profound question. Why did this technology disappear? This is the great hiatus. For 1,400 years, this knowledge was lost, wiped from the human experience. After the fall of Rome, as the Dark Ages descended, we didn't just stop innovating. We forgot. We went backward. It wasn't until the 14th century, with the great astronomical clocks of Europe, that human technology finally caught up to where it had already been over a millennium before. Think about that. What would our world look like today if this knowledge had not been lost? If the Industrial Revolution had begun in the Roman Empire?
The Antikythera Mechanism is not just a clever clock. It is a philosophical object. It is proof. It is proof that our view of primitive ancestors is a lazy, arrogant fantasy. It proves that brilliance is not unique to our time, that genius can exist and then be erased. The Antikythera Mechanism is a warning, a ghost. It's a reminder that history is not a guaranteed straight line pointing up. It is a fragile, chaotic story.
Knowledge can be lost. Civilizations can forget. Progress is not inevitable. We look at this corroded lump of bronze and we are forced to ask the most humbling question of all. What else have we forgotten? What other wonders were lost beneath the sea or melted down for war, leaving us to reinvent the wheels they had already perfected? The Antikythera Mechanism is not just a mystery from the past, it's a mirror to our own time and a warning for our future. The device was a computer for the Olympics and for the entire cosmos. It's without a doubt the most sci-fi object to ever be found from the ancient world. But now I want to know your thoughts. Who do you think built it? Archimedes? An unknown genius in Rhodes? And what other lost technologies do you think are still out there waiting to be found? Let us know your best theories in the comments below. And if you want to see just how deep the rabbit hole of lost history goes, be sure to check out our next video on the Library of Alexandria and the knowledge we lost in its flames. Thanks for digging with us.